We are back in full force, finally, week 10 recap. And before I move on, I just have to say Troy Smith with Jim Tressel over there on the left, walking up the sidelines, eyeing him down. I mean, I found a gem here. Without further ado, we had a great week this week with some interesting matchups and some interesting results. First, we'll start with Florida. And it's not too much of a surprise. Although Coach Waymer has been playing great ball and he was ranked 14th, that 5-4 record does not indicate how well this Florida team has been playing. If you guys recall, Coach Octor had some heartbreaking, devastating losses at the beginning of the year. Hopefully he turns that around come next year, but he really just spanks Coach Waymer a little bit. 48-14. Word through the grapevine was Coach Waymer did forfeit at the end of the third quarter. I don't like to hear that, but it is what it is. 48-14, great game, fellas. Coach Waymer looking to bounce back this week. Next, we've got number 2 ranked Texas A&M losing to South Carolina and Coach Segura at home. He had a great game, 35 points. This was a rivalry game. And he took personal when I showed the best head coach results or the running for this year. He knocked this guy completely out of the race, moved himself up, and he spanked him a little bit too. So good job, Coach Segura. Big win for you. Next was game of the week, game of the century, really. Number 8, Tennessee, myself, Coach Heineman, going against number 10, Auburn. We'll go through the stats in a little bit. It's quite hilarious. But I put up 63 points. He couldn't stop me. He did make some mistakes. We were going neck and neck, battling back and forth, and my 11-year-old self would be proud. I'm now 7-1. UNC Coach Veracco loses to Florida State. Like I mentioned, the game and EA they didn't do a good job of portraying Florida State and that program very well in the game. They gave them a lot more credit than they deserve. But in the game, they're pretty good. 56 points. Coach Veracco couldn't stop him. He only put up 21. He's now 3-6. He's going to look to bounce back for the remainder of the year as well. Next, Ole Miss. Coach Kiffin. We all love Coach Kiffin. They're a tough squad. They're 7-2. They've played no conference games. They're 0-0 in their conference. Is that right? That's pretty wild. But they put up 34. Arkansas, Coach AJ couldn't stop him. He's now 3-6. Only put up 13 points. He's going to look to bounce back as well. Lastly, Mizzou, they're now at 500. Coach Hess put up 40 points against the Miami Redhawks in Yankee Stadium. Cradle of coaches, was no match for Coach Hess. Coach Slick did put up 13 points as well. Look at that. The Coach Snyder brothers both had 13 points scored this week. That's interesting. But next, everyone's favorite, we've got plenty of clips. And hold on. There we go. Okay, fixed itself. Gotta love that. Top 12, number 12, interception here. And Florida is gonna feel good about that one. Next, UCLA and Florida again, number 11. It's another interception. Coach Waymer was just throwing the ball all over the place. Demarcus Davis, there's another one. That Jason Marshall Jr. guy is pretty good, so he jumped the route there. This one I had to pull from the stream. It's 14-14 at this point. Like I mentioned, we were going back and forth, 2nd and 11. I'm reading the D, pre-snap reads, and I just throw a little corner out to my best receiver, Squirrel White. He's pretty damn good. Felt good about that one. And this lags on a little bit. Sorry about that. You'll watch the kick as well, right through the uprights. Boom. There we go. Good score for me, and I love watching it back. Same game, 49-35. I'm pulling away at this point. End of the third quarter. 1st and goal on the 7. Coach Stevenson really needs a stop here. And you're going to see me. He pulls his linebacker, his outside linebacker over there to, I don't know why he did that. I'm an empty. But streak, hot route it, pre-snap reads. That's a touchdown. Shouldn't have moved him, buddy, I said. Good game, though, either way. Back to UCLA, Florida, up 42-14 at this point. Coach Octor, he's going to throw, and that's another interception. That's another one for Jason Marshall Jr. He's got the fire icon. He's on fire, and he's going to take that one back to the house. That dude's pretty damn good, and that's a big win for the Florida Gators. Back to my game. It's 0-0 at this point. Auburn got the ball first. Coach Stevenson, he is driving. He's in the red zone here, like you see.
What are you doing?
He says, "What are you doing?" He's going to find out what I'm doing pretty quick. Boom, overthrows his receiver. He was covered. You ain't catching him either, I say. Jordan Matthews had a big game. That's one of his interceptions. You'll see a few more coming up. That's to the house, and that was a big start to the game for me. Developed some momentum as I rolled on through. Number 5, I love these. 35-14. Look at him just cut there to the right. Gash it right up that gap there, and he's not going to get caught. That's a great return. He almost gets caught, actually. Dives into the end zone. That's a touchdown. Number 4, back to Auburn and Tennessee. It's 35-35 at this point, and this is where things start to get hairy for Coach Stevenson. He starts making some mistakes right at about this point. You're going to see one of them here. I start calling the correct defense, and look at this. Boom. Give me that. Jordan Matthews again, pick 6. That's a second pick 6 of the game. And we're going to move right on into this one. This is the drive right after that. I think this might be the first or second play right after that interception. I called the same defense. I figured it out, and he throws it to him again. Jordan Matthews, he's on fire. I say, see what happens. Same thing still applies. That's a touchdown. That one was big.
Beat my fucking self.
Beat himself, he said. Kinda. Yeah. This one I had to pull from the phone. Sorry about that. That's that OneDrive issue I was talking about. Please send me your clips via text from now on. Figured it out here. Shout out iPhone 15 Pro Max. Has some great capabilities on the editing front. Looks like he threw a little screen over there to the left. Got a couple yards. He's in the red zone. Down 33-6. Fake toss out there to the right. And then he throws a little teardrop there with the jump ball in the end zone. Gotta love that. And lastly, 14-14 at this point. Number 1 play. This is the biggest play of the game, in my opinion. You'll see me shake my head there because Squirrel White was wide open on a streak, and Nico Iamaleava decides to overthrow him, but it doesn't matter. I throw it right over the middle there. Can't keep up with them. That's a conversion on 4th and 21. He caught that? He sure did. Had that snuffed the fuck out. Yeah, kinda, buddy. Anyways, great clip, great games. We're moving on into the stats. We're going to rapid fire this because we got 30 slides to go through this week. 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 206, 7 for 14. Not a great day throwing for Coach Waymer, but J. Michael Sertivant did have a big day. 3 catches, 156 for 2 touchdowns. On to Florida. 172, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks for DJ Lagway, 11 for 13. Very efficient, as always. And then Dyke was his leading receiver with 2 catches for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Gamecocks. Lenora Sellers, 3 touchdowns, 353, 1 interception, 14 for 21. Nick Harbor had a huge day again, and we'll hear more about this guy in a little bit, but this guy has some massive games this year. He's really putting on a show. 283 yards on 7 catches, 3 of them for touchdowns. Next, we'll go to Tennessee. Myself, 337, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, 17 for 27. Not an awesome day throwing, but good enough to get the job done. Squirrel White, 5 catches, 157, 3 touchdowns. And Thornton right behind him at 6 catches, 93, 1 touchdown. Auburn Tigers, 450. Look at this. I'm going to point a few things out here. Peyton Thorne, 452 yards, and he didn't throw really a pass over 1 yard, and when he did, that was picked off. You saw it in the clips. 5 touchdowns, 3 picks, 22 for 30. This was interesting. I hurt Jarquez Hunter. I was laying the boomstick on him in the beginning of the game. His backup had to come in, and his backup did awesome. I mean, 6 carries, 110. This guy is only a sophomore from Montgomery, Alabama. Jeremiah Cobb, he's pretty damn good, and he's going to be leaning on him pretty heavily for years to come. But what you're going to see here is something really interesting, and this is proof in the pudding, that people like to say, so to speak. So Robert Lewis, 8 catches, 335 yards. That is the highest total. I couldn't stop him, and I sent it in the chat. He left his play call sheet at midfield after he refused to shake my hand. He had 4 touchdowns, but look at the rack. 325 yards rack on 335 yards receiving. That proves it all. 1 yard passes, and he was just jet sweeping it all day long. My players couldn't get outside. I was doing outside contain. I was moving the linebackers. I was doing anything I could. and it just wasn't working. That's what I call a cheese play, and the stats there prove it. Okay, and look at the rack for all of the other players as well. 47 rack for 60 yards, 27 rack for 23, 28 rack for 19, right? So there's my point there. Doesn't matter though, I still won, so I'm not too upset about it, but I'll figure out how to stop it next time. He better think of a different scheme moving forward if we see each other in the playoff or the SEC championship game. North Carolina 312, 1 touchdown, 4 picks for Connor Harrell, 22 for 35. Omarion Hampton and Bryson Nesbitt, his 2 best players, did have a big day receiving though. 13 catches for Hampton, 106, no touchdowns, and Nesbitt had 5 catches for 97, just shy of 100 for no touchdowns. Arkansas, Coach AJ, 196 for Taylon Green, 1 touchdown, 2 pick, 15 for 34, so not a great day passing. And then Tesla here, 3 catches for 65 for no touchdowns. On to Miami University, 199, 1 yard shy of 200, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks. I think Brett Gabbert leads the league in interceptions. He's going to have to figure out what to do, maybe lab up a little bit in the practice mode if you have some time. But Kenny Tracy over there from Indianapolis, 8 catches for 94 yards, just shy of 100 as well. Mizzou, Coach Hess, 210, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. 13 for 20. He was sacked twice. Luther Burden III, 3 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. Duo of the week's gotta go to these fellas here, Sellers and Harbor. Harbor carried the way for the most part with 283 yards, 7 catches, 3 tutties, but Lenore Sellers didn't have that bad of a day either, but he did play against one of the best teams in the game in Texas A&M, and he destroyed the Aggies. Shout out to Coach Segura for a great week. National Players of the Week, it's no surprise. You'll see it here. Jordan Matthews on the defensive side of the ball, 3 picks, 3 touchdowns, and Robert Lewis, no surprise, 335 receiving yards on 8 catches and 4 touchdowns on those 8 catches. They should say, 325 in rack as well. Just want to point that out once more. We got a lot to cover here, though. Best defensive back, Jalen Davies, still leading the way. Nick M. and Rory right behind him. And then we've got Jason Marshall Jr. Jordan Matthews moved his way up into the top 10 as well. Marcus Clark's now at 9. And we got a Miami University player down there. Look at that. Number 10, Jaden Williams. Good stuff. Best linebacker, Arian Carter, is leading the way there. Number 3, Xavier Sori. And then we've got Jalen McLeod. Number 5, not even going to, I'll try. Oluwafemi Oladejo from UCLA is number 6. Then we've got Kyle Kennard for South Carolina at number 8. Best defensive player overall, James Pierce Jr. still at the top spot. Arian Carter has now moved his way to number 3. And we've got Lana Jackson 7, Jalen Davies 9, Jalen McLeod 10. Best head coach, Dat Murphy is now number 1, but Tony Segura Jr. has moved up into the 2nd spot. Don't know why no one else, I should say. Well, I couldn't find the words for that. No one else in the league is in the top 10 for head coach. Let's look to change that. Best running back, no surprise, Jarquez Hunter, but we have the top 3 running backs, and now Dylan Sampson, number 8, has moved his way into the top 10 as well. Best quarterback, Will Howard, is number 1. Nico is moving his way up, though. He's at number 5. And moving on into best receiver, Nick Harbor, no surprise, number 1. Luther Burden III at number 4. And then I have 2 in the top 10, Squirrel White and Dante Thornton Jr. Best tight end, Arliss Boardingham. He's had some big weeks this year, and it's no surprise he's number 1. Holden Stace right behind him. Bryson Nesbitt, UNC's very own Gronk, in number 3. Best special teams returner, TJ Abrams. We just saw it in the clips. He gashed that one and really saw that gap over there to the right. Took it. Nice cut up field. He's a freshman leading the way. And then Isaiah Sategna from Arkansas, Coach AJ, is at number 10. Player of the year, I don't understand how this is different than Heisman. I don't know if it is, but Jarquez Hunter is at number 1 still. Nico moved his way up to number 6. And we've got Omarion Hampton at 8 and Raheem Sanders at number 9. Speaking of Heisman, 2024 Heisman Trophy race presented by Nissan. Jarquez Hunter still leading the way. Hopefully I can move Nico's ass right up in there to the top 5. We're banking on it. Conference standings, I am at the top. I'm now ranked number 3. We've got some people in the top 25 still as well. Good stuff. We got some players who still really have a chance to make it to the playoff despite some losses, and we'll talk about that in a moment, and that moment is now. College football playoff race. I have moved to the 2nd seed, and I'm supposed to be playing in the Fiesta Bowl as of now, so I'm hoping Oregon loses. I'd like to play in the Rose Bowl. We'll see if any other players can make their way. It's a tight race. Looks like Georgia's at the 12th spot right now with 3 losses. So I don't know exactly how this is going to shake out. It's not making much sense to me, but we'll see, you know, what ends up happening. But everyone has to continue to win their games in order to have a shot here. This I wanted to throw in for us to get a little bit of excitement going into the following year. This is recruiting here. So you're going to see a lot of the recruiting stats here, and I'm actually going to go through in a moment some of the exciting players that we can look to expect moving into our programs next year. I apologize for the aesthetic nature of this slide, but I'm going to point out a few players that are pretty exciting to have come into our program. Tennessee, top left, C-Let, 5-star, free safety, 5-star right outside linebacker, and K-Hope, a lot of 4-stars. South Carolina's side, he's got 1 5-star at Vedvik. He's at corner with a lot of 4-stars. Florida has 9 commits total, but he's got 3 5-stars coming in, and that's a QB, a wide receiver, and a middle linebacker. So arguably the most important positions he's going to come in and fill with some psychopaths. So he's probably excited for the coming year. UCLA has 11 total commits, 1 5-star. Reigns, he's a quarterback. He's 6 foot, 199. I'm guessing he's probably a scrambler or an improviser, either one. Either way, he's going to be pretty damn good. 2024 commits for UNC. He's got all 3 stars, but he's got 15 of them. So really looking to, bolster up his program a little bit more after that plane crash. He's dealing with the Taliban infiltrating Chapel Hill campus. It looks like they infiltrated the football program as well. So thoughts and prayers to the Tar Heels, Taliban Tar Heels. On to Auburn. We've got 7 commits total for him, but 3 of those are 5-stars. D tackle, Licata. Halfback looking to replace Jarquez Hunter, even though he has that Jeremiah Cobb guy. That's Met Zellars. And then we've got a right tackle, Olu Watimi. Arkansas has 8 commits total, mostly 3-stars, if not all 3-stars. Mizzou has 3 commits total, 3 stars. And Miami Redhawks have no commits thus far. So Coach Slick's really got to turn things around. He might as well, really just hit the road at this point and try to get some new players into his program. Speaking of programs and upcoming, Week 11, we've got UNC Coach Veraco at 3-6 going against number 18 ranked Auburn Tigers in Auburn, Alabama. That's at 2:30 p.m. They're 6-2. They need to win out in order to have a shot to get to the college football playoff. Oklahoma ranked number 15. This is a rivalry game against Coach Hess, who's looking to stay at or above 500. He's 4-4. This is a night game, 7:30 p.m. in Columbia, Missouri. Next, Iowa Big Ten program there going against Coach Waymer. He's still in the top 25 even after that loss against Florida. He's at 6-3. He's going to need a big win. That's a night game in Pasadena, California. Florida, Coach Octor at 5-4, looking to take on number 6 ranked Texas. A tough computer matchup here. That's also a night game in Austin, Texas. They're 7-1, looking to take on Steve Sarkisian and the boys. I have a big matchup against Kentucky, a top 25 ranked opponent, 7-2. IRL, they just beat Ole Miss, so I'm a little worried about it. We'll see what they can do against myself. This is a rivalry game as well. This is in Knoxville, Tennessee at 3:30 p.m. I'm 7-1, ranked number 3 in the nation. And then we've got Coach Slick at 1-8 going against Ball State, another rivalry game. We have 3 rivalry games taking place this week, and that's exciting stuff. That's a night game as well, 7 p.m. in Muncie, Indiana. And we've got 2 buys. Number 14 ranked South Carolina at 8-2 as a buy, and Coach AJ 3-6. Arkansas Razorbacks also have a buy. Thanks for watching. I'm excited for next week. Hopefully I have some good news on the trophy front, and good luck to all participating. Later.